Back to the Rings of Power again. And you know what they say? Giving you the raw meat is always right. Hang on, never mind that. But no quail sauce and beware spoilers. And where were we? The humans are all in the tavern, surrounded by the Charlottesville Orcs, and they're captured. Adar comes in and he wants the Keyblade. It doesn't even really make sense in the first place that the Orcs have torches. As a viewer called Mike Stanmore pointed out in a comment, in The Hobbit, they can see perfectly well in the pitch black of an unlit underground cave. So all they did by carrying torches was let the enemy know that they were coming and make themselves a lot easier to shoot. And the subtext just gets worse and worse. So if I'm right, and Amazon were trying to reference Charlottesville with the Orcs in this episode, by having the Orcs white and waving torches, what exactly am I supposed to draw in terms of subtext from your show, Amazon, when the hero of your show, Galadriel, is advocating genocide in the Orcs? I find it hard to stress quite how dangerous I find this line of thinking. More so because the meaning of the term white supremacist seems to become very fuzzy in American parlance lately. Is it just anyone that doesn't politically agree with you? Because in a world where Larry Elder gets called a white supremacist, that could well be a very long list of people to genocide. Yeah, all of this has no place in Tolkien. His life work is not for you to use, abuse and mutate into something harmful. It's not there for you to shove your narratives into in order to justify political violence. Stop it. For some time now, Tolkien himself has been accused of racism for his depiction of non-white people in his writing, and also his depiction of orcs. Certain definitely not racist individuals saw this in the Peter Jackson films, a group that I think it's fair to say tend to be violent and brutish and maybe not so pretty, and thought, hang on, they're using that as a dog whistle for black people. Until this was raised as a talking point, it never even once occurred to me. When I, for instance, see Jessica Lucas, thoughts do enter my head, but they're not that she looks like an orc. By all means tell me below if you need me to tell you which one of these pictures is Jessica Lucas and which one is Lurtz from Lord of the Rings. I'll not go into what exactly my thoughts about Jessica Lucas are, as she's a respectable married lady now, and how racist it would be to class an entire ethnic grouping in that way. Tolkien himself was asked repeatedly if orcs were supposed to represent any group in particular, as he himself had been involved in the First World War fighting against Germany, and people thought orcs may have been a reference to the German soldiers. And he said himself that this was not his intention. The orcs are not supposed to be German, they're not supposed to be Japanese, they're not supposed to be Russian. People asked Tolkien about this when he was alive, and he said, I've never had these sorts of feelings about the Germans. I'm very anti that sort of thing. Tolkien also strongly opposed Nazi racial theories. Berlin publisher Rutten and Learning wrote Tolkien in 1938 to express their interest in putting out a German edition of The Hobbit. But first, the publishers wanted proof of Tolkien's Aryan descent. This is allegedly a reply written by Tolkien that I'm putting on the screen now. Even during and after World War II, Tolkien expressed anger at those in England who called for destroying the Germans, stating that the Germans have just as much a right to declare the Poles and Jews exterminable vermin, subhuman, as we have to select the Germans. In other words, no right, whatever they have done. So Amazon took Tolkien's work and made one of his heroes pro-genocide. Tolkien also said of Hitler the following: I have in this war a burning private grudge against that ruddy little ignoramus Adolf Hitler. Later he wrote to his son Michael, by which time the war had got increasingly brutal, and criticised the Nazis for ruining, perverting, misapplying and making forever accursed that noble northern spirit, a supreme contribution to Europe which I've ever loved and tried to present in its true light. So ruining, perverting, misapplying her. Now back to the Rings of Power. So that accusation was that Tolkien used orcs as a dog whistle for black people, and I was saying how racist it would be to class an entire ethnic grouping in that way. So Amazon didn't want to do that, I'm guessing. So instead, they made the orcs white and carrying torches. So if it was racist to class an ethnic grouping in that way, it appears Tolkien didn't do that, but it strongly appears Amazon just ironically did. You appear to have taken something that wasn't racist in the first place, and boldly, in the name of anti-racism, you made it racist. So why do I care so much? Partly, I guess, because I find their ethics and morality to be flawed and dangerous for the reasons I've stated. Partly because I resent Tolkien's work being used to push these ethics without his consent. But mostly, I guess, because I can see politics in the USA growing increasingly fraught and hostile, and all the time the likes of Amazon, Hollywood and the media continue to pour more fuel on the fire. Maybe they're hoping for a big ratings bump when they finally get the civil war they seem to have been pushing for. With only the slight problem that the last American Civil War had the most casualties in terms of American dead of any war in the country's entire history. War inevitably leads to untold human tragedy, men, women and children dead long before their time, and this time there'd be more people involved than the last Civil War, and with much more advanced weaponry, up to and including nukes. Stop it.